Hi, this is Jack Uldrich. Rather than type out my responses, I thought I would just answer your 5 questions in a video format, and then you can take my responses from there. So I'm going to read your questions and then give you my responses. The first question is, please in detail explain what you do and help our readers understand what a futurist does. I like to use the acronym AHA to explain what a futurist does. And it's an acronym, and what it stands for is awareness, humility, and actions. Futurists make people aware of all of the trends, technologies, and forces that are transforming the world of tomorrow, the future. Second, the H in AHA stands for humility. And what I mean here is we all need humility to the idea that the way we thought about the world, our job, our business, our country, our society, yesterday and today, is not necessarily going to be how we think about those things tomorrow and in the future. So we all need humility to the idea that we need to change, and we might need to unlearn some things. The final A stands for action. Good futurists will always admit they do not claim to predict the future. There's a wonderful quote from Peter Drucker who said the only way to predict the future is to create it yourself. So good futurists help people take action to create the desired futures that they want. Question number 2. Looking at the course that COVID is taking, what are the global trends? What are the global trends saying the future may look like, specifically at health and then the economy and business? With regard to health, there are going to be a number of things. First, we've already seen the growth of telemedicine. That's going to continue to grow. But I think what is interesting about telemedicine is obviously a lot of parts of Africa, even rural America, don't have good broadband. So I think that broadband is going to move to the front, and you're going to see broadband get significantly better in all areas of the world, including some of the most remote areas of the world. I think that we're also going to see a lot more progress around the issue of digital verification. I know this is highly controversial, and many people don't like it, but I think that governments around the world, in order to protect themselves, are going to say, we need digital proof that you have been vaccinated before we allow you to come into our country, or before we allow you to go into public settings or into schools. And so a number of technologies, including blockchain, are going to help with both the tracking and the traceability of that. Still on the health front, continued solutions are going to come in addressing both COVID and the variants that are coming. Through better gene sequencing technology, it's going to continue to get better, faster, more affordable, and I think that we're going to see an acceleration of advances in gene editing technology to help develop potential solutions for COVID and its various variants. The second part of that is, what else do you see in terms of business and the economy? None of these will come as a surprise. Remote work is here to stay. Many businesses will go to a hybrid model, but the same is true with e-commerce. It has grown and it's going to continue to grow, albeit not as fast as we've seen in the last year. Other things that we're going to see are a continued growth of both automation, specifically robotic technology, and 3D printing technology. That COVID and the pandemic highlighted a lot of the vulnerabilities of the global supply chain. And so I think one of the innovative solutions is to produce and grow and manufacture things as close to the customer as possible. And so both robotics and 3D printing will help play in that. The final area is education. Higher education specifically is going to continue to be transformed. Younger people are already getting more comfortable with online learning. That trend is going to grow, and as broadband and other technologies come down, the cost of higher education, particularly remote education, is going to continue to flourish. The third question was, it would seem that most governments in the world were not prepared for this Delta variant of the virus and third waves. Looking at the trajectory the world took, was it obvious that there would be a third wave and there should have been better preparation? The answer is yes. Of course, there were people saying that it's going to continue to mutate, and there are going to be different variants, and of course we should have been better prepared. And so what we really need is better political leadership that first and foremost admits what they don't know. I think the public is going to be okay saying we don't know everything, but we're going to try and be as truthful and as transparent as is possible. They have to start working to build up their trust. And I think the place they start is by admitting that they mismanaged COVID and the pandemic. And to this issue of should they have been better prepared, again, the answer is yes. I don't mean to toot my horn, but in the book Foresight 2020, which I wrote in 2012, I didn't claim to predict the future, but in the opening chapter, I say one of the things every business leader and political leader needs to do is think about unthinkable things. So let me just present to you some scenarios of some unthinkable things. And in my book, I had a pandemic, a global pandemic breaking out in the year 2016. And I had it starting in Mexico and not China. My point was never to predict specifically where it would happen and what year. It was rather to say to leaders, we have to think specifically about low probability but high impact events. There's no reason we should be caught by the next variant of COVID, nor should we be caught off guard by cybersecurity and attacks on our system. We shouldn't be caught aware of the idea that climate change is actually going to be worse than people are expecting. In fact, there are so many sort of low probability, high impact events that we need to be thinking about, but we're not. Let me just give you one. A solar storm, the possibility that solar flares from the sun might fry all of our satellites and throw the global economy into utter chaos is a real possibility, but very few people are thinking about it. So we just need more leaders who are willing to think about unthinkable things and then take action to spend a little bit of money investing against these low probability but high impact events. The fourth question was, what are possibilities now that we'll see a fourth wave or another variant? And in your opinion, can world leaders prepare for what's to come? I think I've already answered that. Yes, we're going to continue to see variants, and it's incumbent upon world leaders to address these issues. But again, it goes back to them admitting what they don't know, trying to be as honest and transparent as possible, and I think that the public will understand that this is a fast-moving virus and that it's mutating and that we have met a very formidable foe, but it's going to take technology, it's going to take education, it's going to take personal action on all of our behalves to help limit and then mitigate the risk. The final question you had is, the cost of COVID is something that has taken a huge toll on the economy from both a business and a health perspective. Do you think the warning signs were there? Yeah, again, I do think the warning signs were there. And it's not just me who was predicting it in my book. There were a number of epidemiologists and strategic thinkers who were saying to world leaders, we need to be thinking about these rare but high impact events. And so I think what we all have to do is get comfortable listening to those ideas that we don't like to hear and that require us to make investments and to change our personal behavior. These aren't easy nor cheap things to do, but that is, I would argue, what we're paying our leaders to do, is to make those tough decisions and to educate the rest of us as to why we're taking those tough actions. If you want to follow up with me, by all means, send me an email or feel free to call me. My U.S. number is 612-267-1212. I'll also attach a photo with this video file. Thanks. Bye-bye.